Let's talk about difficult conversations, and let's talk about the trauma that comes up when we are having difficult conversations. See, often we want to avoid conflict. It's very natural for us to avoid conflict. It's very natural for us to stay in a state or remain in a state of homeostasis, to feel safe in our bodies. And often what we do is when we go into conflict or when we feel that we're going to upset someone or that we need to control the situation or that we are going to be angry or upset or feel sadness and pain and all these very big, dense emotions and feelings, we often revert back to this childlike state of being. Whatever our wounding was, whatever our pain was, however we dealt with difficulty and pain and conflict and upsetting people and us being upset is usually what we will revert to in times of conflict or intensity. So what happens is these past feelings and these emotions, they amplify the present moment. And so what happens when the present moment is amplified? We dig in more into those old maladaptive coping strategies. Well, they're maladaptive now. They once really helped and worked. And they served us, right? But we dig into these maladaptive coping strategies, and what happens is we push people away further. We distance ourselves, we isolate ourselves, and we feel worse about who we are. It's really important to understand that we need to understand the past, and we need to be familiar with the past and what has caused us to be where we are so that we can begin to slowly over time heal that. Not fix it, you're not broken, but heal that. To begin to shift it from our constitution, from our psyche, from our collective psyche, from the way that we relate to people, how we give and receive love. Because often how we give and receive love is dictated by those old patterns and those old wounds and the way that we heal or help ourselves to move through those wounds or avoid the pain and the fear that's associated with those wounds. So here's a suggestion that I have, and it's worked a great deal for me personally, but also for the many people that I serve and the clients that I have. And so when we begin to understand, well, what makes us us? What makes us argue a particular way? What makes us fear a particular way? What makes us deal with difficulty in a particular way? We begin to understand that a lot of that has been forged during our trauma bonds, or when we've experienced pain, when we've experienced our parents lashing out at us, when we've experienced our teacher telling us that we're wrong, when we've been bullied, when we've maybe lost someone dear to us, and how we've responded to those experiences and how we deal with that to self-soothe and emotionally regulate. Often, as a child, it may be worked, but often as adults, it hasn't. And so one of the ways that we receive information that feeds us neurologically and also feeds us psychologically is through the ENS, the enteric nervous system. It's here in the gut, right? You often think, that you hear that saying, trust your gut. Well, it's important to trust your gut because your gut, your enteric nervous system is receiving information, just like your eyes are. Your eyes are one of which are basically your brain. They're an extension of your brain, are one of your largest threat funnels. So we're assessing threat constantly at an unconscious level. That feeds into the amygdala, that feeds into the pituitary gland, the adrenals, how we release and secrete stress hormone, how we then react and behave. So biochemically, we're receiving information from our enteric nervous system. We feel from our hearts as well. When we're thinking about feelings, we're thinking about the heart. So it's important that, I'm going to get into the importance of symbolism in a moment, but what you want to do is if you feel that, hey, I've got some healthy boundaries to set, I've got a big conversation I need to have with my partner and I'm not sure how to do this and I'm feeling a lot of nervousness and I'm feeling really fucking angry, or I'm feeling really sad and despondent and disconnected, and I'm feeling complacent in what I want to say, I'm not honoring myself, whatever it is, you want to speak truth, but something's holding you back. What's probably holding you back is that you feel unsafe to express yourself. You fear the consequences and you've attached yourself to those consequences. You're future projecting into those possible consequences. So we want to calm the physiology down, because at this point you're excreting and releasing stress hormone by thinking about what could happen. You reverted back to old patterns of behavior and being in the world, and you're not seeing yourself in your fullest potential. Place a hand on your heart, place a hand on your stomach. Take a few long, slow breaths. Not super deep, just long and slow. Close your eyes. Let your body know that you're safe. Generally, if our eyes are closed, generally speaking, and our hands are here on our hearts and our bellies, we're going to feel safe. Why? Symbolism. Let me come into symbolism. Symbolism is the oldest language in human history. It's how we've developed where we are today. And it still is. 70+% of communication is non-verbal and through body language, through micro expressions, through the pitch, the tone, the inflection of our voice. It's not the words themselves, how we posture. So when you're doing that, when you're hand on heart, hand on belly, open your shoulders, pin your shoulders back, stand up straight, let the body know that it's in an empowered position, and say something to yourself that is reaffirming of your power. I am safe. That was then, this is now. I can choose to be different. I needn't come from pain and fear. I can set healthy boundaries. I can be self-honoring and have a conversation and truly listen to the other person. You may just repeat to yourself, I am safe. I'm safe in this space right here, right now. Because often what happens is we bring this sense of not feeling safe into every relationship dynamic, particularly our intimate romantic partnerships, the ones that trigger us and hurt us the most. And what happens is that's pushing on their wounding, complementary wounding, right? Just like there's polarity, complementary opposites, we have complementary wounding. And the complementary wounding perpetuates itself when we continue to play out in the same way over and over again. And so this is a pattern break, but it's also an opportunity to calm down your physiology, release less stress hormone, let yourself know that you're safe, and set a different intention for going into this conversation. So it doesn't have to be full of conflict and difficulty and intensity, but rather it can be two people sharing their perspectives, coming from a different place and rewriting your history. You're rewriting, you're reenacting the way that you've always been. And how you've always been often hasn't got you what you've always wanted or what you deserve. And so this is an opportunity to do that. Symbolism is important. Symbolism helps us through these times, setting an intention, being clear. And that gives you the space to then work at a deeper level with that heavy stuff that maybe you've experienced as a young person. You're not bringing it and projecting it into your relationship here and now. Power and blessings to you. Thank you. I'll see you soon.